Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Moltrap here, coming at you with Game 3 of the Pro League set between SKT1 and KT Rolster. And this is going to be a game between Fantasy and Stats. By the way, this is a best of 7. There's a possibility of a lot of games coming out of this series. It's going to be at least 5 games, since it's already 1-1 right now. This is kind of an important game. Not the most important, I would say, but definitely an important game when you're tied up at 1-1. Getting that 2-1 advantage, you know, not the same advantage as a best of 5, but it really gives you some strong momentum going into Game 4. You're game up, you know, when it's tied 1-1, that third game can be very, very important. And often, you know, if it goes to a game 5 or 7, whatever it's best of, can end up deciding the game pretty much. Anyway, so anyway, it's Fantasy versus Stats. Fantasy, of course, one of the top 10 players of this generation. In the past, I've not given him his full credit, and I still don't think he's, you know, one of the top players ever. You know, he's not on the level of Flash, for instance, but he's definitely, you know, an A rank player. Definitely very, very top rank. I mean, I would even say, you know, S rank. You know, but not totally goes to. I don't know what I'm trying to say now. Anyway, he's good. That's my point. He's better than the Stats. Is the main point that I was getting at eventually. Stats has always been sort of a mid-level player. He's got a few good wins, but he's never really gotten too far in any Star Leagues or anything like that. Never really shined. No pun intended. Anyway, but you know, we'll see what happens here. Stats is a solid player. And Fantasy is not quite so high up, you know, like Flash is, that no one can beat him. So we'll see what happens. And Stats is going to send his scout the correct way, it looks like. No, wait, up. Yes, he is going to scout the correct way. So he's going to spot Fantasy very quickly. Won't really change his plans too much, though. He's just going for a standard gateway build here is what it looks like for the most part. And again, Fantasy just going for that barracks. And I believe I see a refinery on the minimap as well. Anyway, Probe harassing the SCV. Coming over here. Just barely finishes in time. 2 hits left. Go, Probe! Go get that SCV! Oh, you should have killed the SCV, then you had a chance. Although I guess he could have gotten repaired by his buddies back in the mineral line. Going after that depot now. Anyway, he almost gets he gets the other SCV! Wow! 1 kill on that Probe. Is he going to get the other SCV? He should go in and check for which SCV has hurt and find it and try and kill it unless he already repaired it. Oh, there's the SCV, the hurt SCV on the edge as well, but Probe is going to have to run for its life and manages to get away from the Probe as well. Zealot's going to follow up, though, where the Probe leaves behind, and Fantasy still has no idea where Stats is. Look at that, he's just sending his first scout to the bottom right. He's probably, especially seeing the direction of that Probe and then the Zealot, going to know that Stats is in the top left, though, and not cross position. So he's going to send his, you can see a scout going diagonally across there. And Fantasy having to fall back here. Oh no! Missed micros! Oh, wow! That was hardcore. Wow, that was hardcore. I think he intentionally stopped those Marines outside of the area so they could click land, and then ran them underneath, knowing that they would get sort of pushed over to the other side, and barely kept the Zealot out. Very nicely done. Machine Shop now going down on the factory as well, so he's going to follow up with tanks to deal with the inevitable Dragoon harass that's coming up to follow the Zealot, basically. And there's that SCV is now over in a kind of a strange place over there. And I just realized this map looks a lot like one of the other maps whose name I've also forgotten, that was in last season, but I just realized that this is probably a new map. It's kind of different than the other map that I'm thinking of, so that's very strange that I didn't notice that before, but this is a new map, apparently. Anyway, Dragoon is there, pelting away at the barracks, the Zealot as well, and the Marines can't get too close, otherwise... the SCV almost dies! The Marines can't get too close, otherwise, you know, they'll get picked off by the Dragoon. He's just a very, very dangerous game he's playing there. It gets the tank out, though, and was able to deal with it. And there we go. The SCV is going to sneak in from the bottom and scout exactly what's going on and spot the expansion going up. Maybe this is the same map as before. Maybe I'm just tripping. This must be the same map. No, but because the middle looks different, too, I think. Oh gosh, now I'm all confused. Anyway, he's coming in here with a lot of forces. Lots of forces coming in here to try and... Sorry, I'm back. Lots of forces coming in here, putting a lot of pressure on just that one tank. Almost not enough to hold there. And finally, siege mode comes up, and that is going to be the finisher. He's going to be able to siege up over that ridge and do just fine. Anyway, and he's going to be able to put that extra command center out into that extra space as well, into the extra expansion, get his economy really going hardcore, and it looks as if Stats is going to follow up with an expansion of his own. We can see him building an expansion at his natural as well, building an extra nexus. Sorry about that moment there. I got distracted. My phone was buzzing in my back pocket, and I had to throw it away. Commentating is more important. Anyway, by the way, sorry that these games are coming out so late. This game was played like a week ago now, but first of all, my internet is super slow, so it took me a while just to get the VODs. The VODs that were well, for these games basically, because it took a while to download. So I would have done more on the day that I did that first game, but I wasn't able to. And then my internet went down for a couple days. So yeah, there was an issue with the bill being paid and all this stuff, and not my fault. And well, it's not really anyone's fault. It was just dumb the way it worked out. And anyway, so my internet was down, so I couldn't download any more VODs, and I obviously couldn't upload either. So I'm going to be uploading some StarCraft 2 games actually as well now that my internet is back up. Although actually I'm going to be using other internet at someone else's house, but that's beside the point. Anyway, but yeah, some people mentioned on my last video that they didn't know that I'd had a StarCraft 2 account. Yes, Moletrap SC2, if you haven't heard about it yet. That's where I'm uploading my StarCraft 2 videos, just FYI. So you can go check that out. I believe there's a link in my channel description or something like that. Anyway, so turning into a sort of a longer game here, going into the mid game. Both players just kind of massing up off that one expansion. It looks as if Stats is trying to put up a third base. Trying to put up a third base down there, or he was thinking about it at least. Now there's some mines in there. Oh, is it gonna? Oh, watch out, Dragoons! Oh my gosh! Ah! Okay, that mine hit both those Dragoons. Only one of the mines hit though. If both those mines had hit, both those goons would be dead. In this case, instead, they're still alive. They can rebuild their shields, and we're seeing some Arbiter tech, is what it looks like. Stargate and a Templar Archives in Stats' base. Very interesting looking. He does have observers out, so he's able to clear out these mines. But very, very interesting to see that. The Arbiter tech coming. Not surprising, but interesting. Anyway, so... this is turning out to look like... it's probably going to be Fantasy's game, because it just kind of feels like he's shutting everything down. He has to be a little bit worried, though. It depends on if Fantasy's going to go for a longer game and try and get that third base. Then it's, you know, it might go for longer, and he's going to have to hold out that way, basically. And he might try and do that. He's only got a few tanks, though. But point being, I think he might try and push out before too long if he's not going to go for that. Well, obviously, he's either going to go for the third base and defend it, or he's going to push out. But, okay, there's the third base. Okay, so that's what I was basically wondering. And that's pretty standard these days to go for that third base. Especially on this map. I'm not too familiar with this map, actually, since it looks like it is a new map. I'm trying to look it up in the background. That's part of why I just got distracted a moment ago. Anyway, let's see. I can't seem to find the thread on it. Anyway, Fantasy putting on some more pressure with these vultures, putting those mines down to blockade, trying to get in there. Pylon wall is going to prevent that, so Stats is going to get that third base up. So both of them getting each of their bases up, and normally that would be an advantage for the Terran. To have equal bases, basically, because normally the Terran can just bunker in and make econ and tech and just build up units, because they can siege up, and it's really hard to crack a siege base. So what you want to do as a Protoss player, if they're too sieged up and you can't crack into them, you want to move out and build extra bases. But Stats really hasn't been doing that. He's been macroing up, but he hasn't been making a lot of extra bases or anything like that. So anyway, but look at this. Fantasy putting himself on this ridge in the middle of the map and a little bit open to a flank actually in that position. There's some Dragoons on the other side. It looks like they're being chased around now by some Vultures. So he's aware that those Dragoons are there on the other side. He's trying to take this high ground, which is kind of outside of Stats' base, and try and hold that spot there. And he's trying to hunt down those Dragoons basically. He knows they're out there. He's sending a lot of his army down south to try and pick them off, but he's leaving that position pretty open. That ridge is going to be able to be retaken pretty easily by Stats with only the 2 siege tanks there. And it looks like he's actually bringing his army back though. Aware of this, a lot of back and forth play. Both players vying for position right here. Position is going to be super, super important. And now Fantasy having to fall back. He's caught unsieged on the run, having to fall back to his own ridge, and he may be forced to fall all the way back to his base since he doesn't have the opportunity. The forces are too close. He doesn't have an opportunity to siege up. He sieges up 1 tank, but where are his Vultures? What happened to the Vultures? Oh my gosh, Fantasy's about to be overrun. There are the Vultures, and he had no opportunity to go into siege mode, and just is absolutely getting chased down. The Zealot's closing in as well. Finally, he gets the opportunity to go into siege mode, but not until he's chased all the way back into his base. His Stats turns and goes to the right and goes and kills that base. He can beat Fantasy right now. He can obliterate Fantasy's economy. And this, I think what he's going to do is send part of his army down there. Yes, he's sending part of his army down there, using the other part to occupy. And Fantasy, stretching himself too thin, spreading his tanks out a little bit too far, is caught and is forced back into his base. He's going to lose that expansion now to just a few Dragoons. Wow, and Stats not even letting up the pressure. He's got a few Speed Zealots in there now. Now he's moving into Fantasy's natural expansion. And come on, Fantasy, just fight with those SCVs. You could kill off those 4 Dragoons with the SCVs, but it doesn't really matter actually because Stats can just reinforce that position very easily. And there's the SKT team clapping their hands. Sorry, I got the... yeah, sorry. SKT team clapping their hands. For some reason, I faltered for a moment. That's why I paused. I was like, wait, am I getting the teams wrong? That would be epic fail if I got the teams wrong. Maybe I should correct myself, and then I realized that I was actually right, so never mind. It doesn't matter. Fantasy looking very, very haggard right now, and there's a sort of a frustrated sigh coming out of him as he realizes that he does not have much of a recourse left. He's just trying to hold off his natural expansion and maybe come back in the long run, but Stats is not letting up. He's rallying all of his forces here. Fantasy is going to have to go down pretty soon here. He's not even producing that many tanks. He doesn't even have any machine shops at this point. He's going to lose his natural expansion as well. He's only mining in his main, which is almost mined out. More Zealots streaming into the base here. Fantasy's going to have to give in pretty soon. Zealots all over the place. And there, the look of defeat on Fantasy's face is all you need to know that he's about to GG. And GG coming from Fantasy. Nicely played by Stats. And I was a little worried for Stats, as I mentioned, that I was worried that he was behind on bases. He was getting harassed. He was holding off the harass pretty well, though. So it wasn't being too big of a deal. But I was a little bit worried for Stats, but just came out and just caught Fantasy screwing around in the middle of the map. Just doing, I don't know what he was thinking. Just running around his forces, chasing those few Dragoons. Instead of establishing position, he had a really nice position containing Stats right outside of his base. It was a beautiful spot. And then, you know what? Oh, I'll just unsiege everything and run around after these 5 Dragoons. And then just get caught totally, off guard and got chased all the way back to his base. That was pretty much GG. Anyway, sorry again this series is taking so long. I'm going to take even longer for the rest of the games because I'm going to a bachelor party, a friend of mine in Diggity's this weekend. So I won't be able to do the rest of the games. If you want to watch the rest of the games now, go watch Ranshin. Otherwise, I'm going to complete the series later this week. Thanks for watching. GG.